Alright, what's up guys? So I just wanted to make a quick video about my bed rack that I made for my Smittybilt tent. This is my 2019 Tacoma. I had a couple people ask me about what I used and how I made it, so I just wanted to give a quick video. It's pretty simple. If you can use a grinder, a welder, and a tape measure, you can build this. It's very simple design. Just 90-degree joints and some angles, but the angles are very easy to figure out. So to start, all I did was measure the center to center here of my bed rails. So sorry about the lighting, I'm using my tablet for this and it's not the best, but I measured the center to center from the bed rail, so about this line right here to the other side, and that is how I got the width for how far apart I wanted the feet of the rack to be for weight distribution. I wanted it about in the center of the bed rail. To mount it, all I did was take some of this 4-inch angle here, which drops down to the perfect height to access the bed rail system. Then there's about a 1-inch slot behind those flat washers that allow a little bit of adjustment, to a little bit of wiggle room in case it doesn't line up absolutely perfectly, but it lined up pretty good. And then I have the T slot nuts behind it to hold it on. There's 8 bolts in total. I wanted this system to be able to be taken off and on without disturbing anything else, so I didn't want to have to drill anything or really take anything off. I have the trifold bed cover, and this fits around the mounts for that, if you can see them, the pegs right here. So to build the rack, all I did, this is all 1.25 inch square tubing. All of the crossbars here that are here on both sides, as well as up here and here, those are 1-inch square tubing. And then on the ends, I capped it with 1.25 inch angle, just to kind of cap the ends off nice, give it a little bit of extra strength. So to start, all I did was I measured the center to center of the bed, got my top bar to the width that I wanted it, which is 40 inches, and then I laid it out on the table and just figured out the angle that the upright here needed to be in order to fit everything right. So once I did that, I welded it all together here. So I started with just these, just the upright, the crossbar, and the gusset there, which is also 1.25 inch square tubing, and then the 4-inch angle for the feet. Once I had that, I sat the 2 pieces on, so it would have been this piece and this piece. I sat them on the bed and set my front to back spacing to accommodate with these pegs for the trifold cover, because I didn't want to have to remove anything. I wanted to be able to pull this off and throw the cover on if I needed to. So once I had that spacing set, I just these are welded on flat. So if I ever for some reason wanted to put anything across here, like maybe make a little removable shelf to store some extra stuff up here, then I could do that. Instead of matching the angle, I just kept them flat. And then also on top, my crossbars are 1-inch square tubing, and those are just evenly spaced across. And then I put this 1.25 inch angle. I mounted this all over top. It overlaps right here. Instead of welding it up against here, it comes out and it overlaps the corner here, which also has an end cap on it, and that is just for extra strength, because something mounted on top of here is going to be a whole lot stronger than something welded to this face here. And then the gussets are just welded in there and then ground flush. So really it's not that difficult of a rack to make. Like I said, as long as you can read a tape measure and use a grinder and a welder. That's all I used for this. I used just a grinder with a cutoff wheel and then a tiger paw to clean up my edges a little bit before I welded them together. And it's doing really well. I took this, I've driven about 1,500 miles or so with this on so far, and so far everything's great. The only thing I may do here is, this isn't like tight up against, but I still have some room to slide the tent back, so I may just slide that back a little bit to get it off of the roof here to make putting the tent cover on just a little bit easier. This could also be mounted long ways, because these bars are long enough to fit front to back or side to side, but I prefer it the way that it's on here. Then one little thing I added was in this corner here, if you can see, probably not, I just added a ring on each side, which these are the distance center to center of the grommets in a tarp, or at least the tarp that I have. So I have carabiners on my tarp grommets, and I can hang those, clip those on here, and I have an awning if I want it. But also, the main intention of these was to do something like this. So if I have some friends come along, and maybe me and my girlfriend are camping and sleeping in a tent, I can also do this here and hang my hammocks from the bed to a tree. So here's a little bit better look at that. I kind of have it off to the side here. So if you positioned your truck right and had the trees right, you could have a hammock off to this side, hammock off to this side. You could still fit the awning on there, and you would still have access to your tailgate for cooking, whatever you want. So yeah, if I missed anything and anybody has any questions, feel free to shoot me a message. This took me, I've made it over after work over the course of a couple days, but if I was to put all the time that I had in it together, I would say probably 3 to 4 hours. And that was building it in an area where I was kind of confined for space. So if I had a nice big open table, I could probably, now that I have the measurements and all the plans for it, I could probably make one of these in about 2 hours. I'm a welder by day, so this is a pretty simple project, but so far it's super strong. It's really sturdy. I have no problem with the tent up there at all. I plan to add a couple extra things to it to just make it, a little bit more useful, but that's the basic layout of it. So if anybody has any questions or is interested in building one of these and needs measurements, I probably have about $150 in the rack plus my time, and that was just basically for material. And the material, I was kind of lazy. I went to Lowe's and bought it instead of going to a steel supplier, which would have been significantly cheaper than buying it from a retail store, but I just wanted to get it done, so I went there. But you could probably have this rack built for $100 or so plus your time if you have a welder or access to a welder. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope it was helpful and could save you some money instead of spending $500-600 on a bed rack. Even though they're nice, this one is, I think it's just as nice, and it's got the ability to have a lot of stuff added to it if I want to in the future. So if you have any questions, feel free to message me or comment, and I'll be happy to answer any questions you have. Sorry about the quality of this video. I'm not sure how the tablet video is going to be, but alright, thanks guys.